All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Lee Velez. I'm here with James, Heck, and Gabe. That's right, we got a new person in the seat tonight with James Bennett Velez. This is episode 80 updates from the crew. In this episode, the crew gives the world the most current updates occurring in their lives. From going back to school, dad life, and getting promoted, this episode gives an inside look into the lives of the voices behind the mics at the Rotated Views podcast. We wrap the episode up with quotes by Elbert, Hubbard, and Ronald, Osborne. All right, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. We like to kick things off with a dictionary.com definition, and we define the term update. They define it as to bring, parentheses, a book, figures, or the like, up to date by adding new information or making corrections, to update a science textbook. 2, computers, to incorporate new or more accurate information in a database, program, procedure, etc. And 3, to bring a person, organization, etc. up to date on a particular subject. Update, here we go.
Updated, let's go.
Update ya.
Everyone needs an update.
Everyone needs an update, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
James, what do you think, buddy? How are you doing?
Good at school.
You're doing good at school?
Good for you, buddy.
Are you learning a lot? What's your favorite subject at school?
Playing toys.
Playing
go.
toys. I'm pretty sure that's my favorite subject at school too.
That's the best answer from a 3-year-old. Playing toys.
That's my answer, and I'm 35 years old.
Oh. Sounds about right.
That's awesome. Were you? Did they ask you to help out in any way at school?
We're just doing games.
Did they give you a job at school?
Well, we weren't doing jobs today.
You didn't do jobs today? Weren't you helping out to hand things out?
I was recycle.
Oh, you're the recycle guy. That's right.
Yeah, now no more.
Why not?
We're not doing jobs anymore.
Why? Are you in a new class?
Yeah, no, we're still in the Fox class.
You're still in the Fox class. You're just not doing your jobs. They just took the jobs away from you?
They take all of the jobs.
Oh, wow. Dang. You guys all got fired, huh?
You guys got terminated. That stinks. 3 years old. He knows termination.
Already experiencing layoffs.
Everybody's bigger than me.
Oh.
Everybody's big. You're the small guy in the class?
Yeah.
Are you friendly?
I'm going to eat a lot of food, and I'm going to be bigger than the other guys.
There you go.
My man got goals already. Already.
Are you friends? Do you have a lot of friends in there?
Ian's at home.
Oh, he didn't come to class today?
No.
What do you think he was doing? Was he sick or was he okay?
He was sick.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's okay. That happens every once in a while. He'll be back, right?
He's going to be better soon.
There you go.
That's
Thinking
awesome.
positive.
He's going to be better in another day.
That's good. And today was whose birthday?
Abuelo's.
It's Welo is his grandfather, or his great-grandfather. So when you say abuelo, that means grandfather. For kind of like the slang, because the kids can't really pronounce it, it's Welo. And so since he's his great-grandfather, it's Welo. And did you guys go out to dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you go out to dinner with?
Welo and Mama.
Yeah, Mama's my mom, and James, obviously, grandmom. What did you get to eat? What'd you order?
Smashed meatball and
rice?
Spaghetti.
Oh, you got spaghetti with your smashed meatball. I thought you had rice.
Wow, spaghetti and meatballs, huh? That's a grown man meal right there. Wow.
What else did you get?
What else did you get? Anything else?
That's it.
Didn't you have hot dogs with it? I thought you got a hot dog with it.
None.
No.
How about a banana?
None.
Oh, boy.
Did you get Welo a gift?
Monster truck and probably just a minute fire dog.
Oh yeah,
the
the card. His card. James picked out a card.
I'm gonna say quad.
Yeah, he got him a quad and a monster truck. So James basically bought my grandfather a gift that he would get himself.
This kid is 3 years old, and he is thoughtful in every aspect.
Yeah.
You got some grown people out there that can't even think of their own things to remember.
Yeah.
Birthdays or whatever it may be. But this 3-year-old, he's on point with all his stuff.
I just heard a birthday.
Oh, there you go.
They on the way home from work and school today, James asked his mom if he can stop and get Willow a gift because he knew he was going out to dinner. James had picked out the card already, and he was serious. He was so serious that he picked out a monster truck and a quad. What color were they?
One was green, and one monster truck was red. Here's one for me.
And you got one for yourself.
So funny.
That's awesome, dude. That is absolutely awesome.
I have a big monster truck for him.
Yeah.
So he can drive in. I don't know where they are.
Why did you want to get Willow a monster truck?
Because it's his birthday.
Yeah, but you wanted to get him a monster truck so he can play with it when he's at home, right? So he's not bored. His thought process is like so Willow could play, and that's what Willow said he was gonna do too, right? Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Is there anything else you want to say for the podcast?
That's it.
Okay, I love you, buddy.
Oh, man.
All right,
So sincere, this kid.
all right, you can go back out with mommy now. Now you can say bye, everyone.
Bye.
All
Bye,
right.
James.
See you, buddy. All right, so this episode is geared towards updating everyone on our personal lives, and obviously we can, jump into a normal conversation from there. So, I guess I can start. What I'm gonna say is, I pretty much post a lot of the stuff that kind of goes on in my personal life, but for those that don't know, currently, I am starting back. Well, I started already back at school. I began my master's program at Drexel University, and I will say this: wow, that is intense. All right, there's a lot of work. I'm back in the groove. It's been 10 years out of the game. Well, actually, I've taken classes in between, just to kind of get updated and anyway, so I'm back in the, getting back into the whole school thing. That's tough. It's hard. It's different. A lot of this, as it was when I was, recall back from Temple University, it's all time management.
Sure.
It's on top of obviously it being intense. I mean, at Temple, I went like 2 years, of 18 credit semesters, which is pretty intense.
18 is not over the limit, right?
No, it's just under. You could actually, I think at one point you could actually take like 21.
But that you have to get special approval for.
Oh yeah, you have to get 18 was like the limit, and then you had to get special approval.
I knew it was like somewhere in the late
Why
teens.
would you have to get special approval for extra?
Because that's course overload at that point. Like
they know that that was like kind of
because
like
you can only literally handle like I think 6 courses a semester.
Yeah.
So how many courses is 18?
So 20 something. That's like 8, I think.
Yeah.
So at least 8, because each class is at least 3 to 4 credits, depending what it is. So.
Oh, okay.
And usually, obviously 4 credits more.
I didn't go to college, so.
So like the higher, obviously 4 credits are usually like the higher sciences and maths and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
Like to be considered full time, I think it's 12 credits.
At least
right?
12, yeah.
At least 12
to be a full time.
So I was doing
for that
18.
semester.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So that's like.
That's still like at least 5 classes, 5, 6 classes. Yeah, it's still 5 classes.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's gotta be kind of 6 classes.
It's like it's
With
more
your-
like it was like 5 or 6 classes.
Yeah, 6 always.
But I want to say like there was like labs I think maybe in there that also
Sure.
count as
Labs.
separate.
Yeah.
Labs. But anyway, whoa, that was intense. But
Yeah.
and I had a part-time job too.
Yeah.
So this is now I have a full-time job, but it's different because my job itself is demanding. So it's not like my part-time job wasn't demanding.
Sure.
It was
No.
just me,
That was just extra.
It was just kind of like busy work. It was still work, but like my current job, I'm in management. So it's very demanding, and you have to be there 100%. So when you're done that, which that really never ends either, because it just doesn't. But so you go from work, and then obviously I'm a father and a husband, so we come home, have my personal life or whatever, and then I'm also my son's t-ball coach, so once or twice a week we're doing stuff with that. And then as of the past, recently we've been doing charity events, or at least helping out, whether we were partaking in the actual charity or promoting a charity for the victims of Hurricane Maria, and in Puerto Rico. So we were doing all that, and then you come home from, and obviously the podcast, right? From like 8 to like midnight, basically, I was just like in the office studying. That was just my first week of coming back to school. So I'm like really like trying to get back in the groove. So I like got bamboozled, just because it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot, how crazy this is going to be.
Oh yeah.
And then like you're, smacked into reality really fast. But after I think it's just that initial shock. And then I don't know if you just get immune to it. But it's definitely going to be a challenge that I think I'm more than willing to put up the fight. Sure. It's just that it was definitely the shock, the initial shocker, like, oh crap.
Because how long have you been doing classes now?
It's only been a week. That's what I was saying. It was my first week.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like the initial.
When did you start? You started last week.
Last week was my first week. Yeah.
So especially since you haven't done it at least like to this extent in such a long time. So it's
right.
Like,
and I'm taking 2 classes. So, you draw a lot of attention. These classes, like within a week's time, there's a lot to do.
Sure.
For one class.
Yeah.
You have to do that twice.
Oh yeah.
Right? I was just telling Gabe, last week I wrote 3 papers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're just like, yeah.
Especially if you're doing online courses, so you're making up for the time you're not in an actual classroom, let alone the fact that you're taking master level courses and all that too. So it's like it's a whole double.
Do you think it's
level.
easier doing online or being in a physical classroom? Now, obviously, now that you're experienced on both levels.
Well, I've done online before.
Okay.
Like I said, I took a class at Bucks County Community College for one of my to maintain like one of my coding credentials.
Okay.
And people say it all the time. They just think that the online's harder because
it's all on you.
It's all on you. Like you here's everything. Now do it, basically.
You learn it.
You know what I'm saying?
You're given the curriculum, and you kind of get like an outline of what you're supposed to do, but it's up to you to learn the material. If you have to, learn whatever papers and all that stuff, and it's like have at it. It's just like figure it out.
Yeah, basically, because you think about like when you physically go to class, you're at the class,
right?
So you're sitting down for
there.
whatever, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however long the class is, and then you go home and then you go and you do your homework. That could be like twice a week, depending on the class, 3 times a week. It depends.
Right.
When you're at home and you're doing it yourself, you have to be disciplined enough to sit down for that hour every single night or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're doing that for 2 classes. You know what I'm saying?
So 2 classes a night?
It's not. That's the thing. It's when you do it. It's up to you. I'm taking 2
So
classes. This semester.
so they give you like
if they
a deadline. All right, so you have to read these first 100 pages within.
It's a week by week thing.
Okay. So every week you have to give like a follow up on what you're doing.
Well, you might have assignments to do. They might give you for an online course. They might give you literally everything for the whole entire semester at the beginning of the year. I mean, beginning of the semester. So you have deadlines within the time. That makes sense. Is that right?
Yeah, mine aren't like that. Mine are they get dispersed week by week.
Okay. So it depends on the
so
teacher.
Every
depends
week
on the
you
curriculum.
have something to accomplish.
Yeah, each class, like last week, each class had 3 assignments. One class had 1 chapter, and the other class had 2 chapters and an article. And I had to write on, 3 assignments. Had to comment on other people's posts.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
threads.
Like that,
there's a lot. It's like it gets intricate. It's not just like read a chapter and then answer some questions.
Right.
It's like write about. Okay, so it would be like read chapter 1 and 2. What were the the biggest talking points that stuck out to you, and also explain how you can relate to it and give examples from your professional career.
Okay.
Right. So it's like, whoa. And then then there's like a scenario for one where it was like, it was called. Anyway, it was this guy who was a manager, and basically you had to pick out all the things that he did wrong and poorly managed, explain why they're poor, and then explain what you would have done differently. Also using what you read on chapters 1 and 2 of the concepts.
You gotta incorporate.
I feel like I'm in
together.
school now.
Yeah.
I got a headache.
Yeah, so
And even some of them, there's like, there might be like an online portion or two where you have to like, you read the 3 chapters and you got to write like there might be a question. You have to like write a brief like answer to the question, but then other people have to comment on your thing or vice versa.
yeah,
or the other
and
way
then
around.
so for every post, you have to comment. So for every assignment, you have to comment at least on 2 other people's posts.
So you have to go through and read other
So it's
people's
not
stuff
you
too.
just
Wow.
you. So then I have to read through somebody else's assignment.
Oh, snap.
See what their
Dang.
response to it was. Then I have to intelligently
Answer
back or give feedback
Yeah,
to
I
what I
got you.
think. Also using sources.
Holy smokes, dude.
So
That's
it becomes a whole thing. That's what like
That's week. That was just the
Yeah.
first week. That was just one assignment. That was just the first week.
and that was just one class.
And that was just one class. We haven't even gotten into like group assignments and stuff
Yeah.
like that yet.
when there's collaboration and all that stuff goes along with that.
Right.
So how does that work when it's collaboration if you're online?
You have to figure it out. That's part
But
of
then
it.
then everybody might have a part. Like you might have a bigger like paper or whatever it is, but everybody has their own
Their
part to
Gotcha,
do in it.
gotcha,
You
gotcha.
kind of compile everything and then you submit
And
it
they
as
submit
like
it all
one. Yeah.
as one. Gotcha.
Exactly.
And
Sounds
a lot of this stuff
intense.
is more anecdotally for me because I personally kind of avoided online courses just because of sometimes
Oh,
I'll get
okay.
crazy in depth. I know coworkers and whatever who've taken these courses and I've seen all this stuff and it's like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous sometimes. Sometimes that's why sometimes like an online course is more intensive than sometimes just being in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no joke. Well, no, and that's what I'm trying to say. So it's like it's
Along with that,
along with that, it was like I'm meeting, people for organizing this, charity event.
Yeah.
And then obviously doing the T-ball
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And then obviously, and then like, oh, tonight we get haircuts. Tonight it's this person's birthday. We're going out to dinner. Like that. That's what I'm talking about. It's like it's the combination of everything. That's when it comes to like time management.
Yeah.
You have to realize like you need to sleep.
Yeah.
You need to get the job done. You can't abandon your family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because
Like,
life is already jam packed to begin with.
Yeah.
Now trying to squeeze something else and it takes hours at a time,
Right.
depending on a daily basis, depending.
exactly. Like we literally sat here and like borderline celebrated my first week.
Yeah.
Like that's how intense it was for all of us. Like
Yeah.
I mean, because my wife and my son are also dealing with it. I hear James like, "Where's Daddy? Where's Dad at?" Because I'm always like, I'll be like out there normally
Yeah.
after a
Office.
certain amount of time, like wrestling with him or whatever,
Right.
and I'm not there from like 8 o'clock to like midnight. I'm in here trying to figure everything out.
Anything out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, but anyway, so I'm doing that, and yeah, and I look forward to the next little mini project, but for right now, I'm just focusing on school because it's I have to.
but today you just sent out a message for the pan can walk.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that you don't give yourself. You give yourself what, 2 weeks to breathe, and then on top of the next thing,
That's coming up soon too, right?
November
November
4th.
4th.
Okay.
But that's not really. I don't have to really organize anything for that. That's just me.
Yeah,
That's
that's just-
really me participating
yeah.
and sending a bunch of group texts.
Sure.
That's
Let's go. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
manageable.
Because we haven't
The
done
charity event, we literally put the charity event
Well,
together.
yeah.
itself.
That's a whole different
that's
dynamic,
A
so-
totally
Yeah.
different thing. So like organizing one thing's one thing. Like, dude, it got to a
Yeah.
point where for the charity event, I'm calling people to bring extension cords, coolers. Like it's to that level of like granularity. Like there's so much
Yeah.
that goes into it. Anyway, but yeah, so like my obviously for those that don't know, my father passed away 5.5 years ago from pancreatic cancer. So we went on a run for I think it was 2 or 3 years where we went to this Purple Stride. It's a Pancreatic Action Network put together a 5K every year to raise awareness for pancreatic cancer because it's a cancer that's very hard to detect. So they want to put in money for research to better, and easier to find such a hidden cancer.
Sure.
Most people, when it's found, it's already at stage 3 and 4.
Yeah.
If they're lucky, it's 3. Sadly to say, and then you may be able to get a surgery that's called the Whipple surgery, where they basically remove a good portion, if not almost like your entire pancreas. But anyway, so we did this thing, Purple Stride, basically to raise awareness. We called my dad the Purple Knight, so we're the Team Purple Knight or whatever. But that's already in place, and then we just come and just kind of get like rally the group together, and that's all it is.
Yeah, because they have all kinds of the infrastructure for that's already in place. For you can set up your own personal teams and fundraising and all the stuff that goes along with that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just this whole, like, there's just a lot that goes into that. But this, I'm just trying to see who wants to go. Sure. We didn't do it last year, and I don't think the year before. And so my mom
2 years ago.
Yeah, we did it for 3 years in a row, and then it was like 2 years we just stopped, for a bunch of reasons. But so this year we wanted to get back in. It was actually my mom who like brought it up and asked. It was weird, and I was telling her actually at the softball charity event. The guy, my friend Mike from school, from Temple, came to support us at the charity event. His dad passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then he introduced me to another guy who I didn't even know knew Mike, who walked up to me. He's like, "Do you know Mike?" And I said, "Mike who?" He said, "Mike Fine." I said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Wait, how do you know Mike?" He's like, "Well, I'm the photographer for Purple Stride, Pancan." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, so all that kind of like put together.
Yeah.
And then mommy, today's Monday, said something about, are we doing the Purple Stride event? I'm like, yeah, we got to do it. Like, I'm just going to, but I was like, I'm just throwing it out there. Whoever wants to do it, I'm down. Like, I'm doing it. It just kind of like everything kind of came together. It was interesting.
And it's funny how it just like all falls in.
It just like brought me back to like, wow, I'm getting back into the groove, getting back into that swing. Well, it's also interesting with school. It makes you realize, it forces you to have good time management skills.
Sure.
If you want to do well anyway.
Absolutely.
And then it realize what you're actually capable of doing too. You know what I'm saying? Like when you don't have a lot going on, you're just like, man, I'm just busy, and you're watching football, and you're just kind of like
so busy.
Like you get busy with life, but you're not really doing anything. You're just going through many acts of life and say that you're busy and say that you're tired. Yeah, and you might be, but like when you're challenged to do more, and then you do the more, you're like, well, what was I doing before?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that's like you always said, is like that. You realize how much, if you actually write down everything you've done or everything you do, or like money and all that stuff, like you realize how much extra stuff you were wasting, quote unquote, that you can squeeze out a couple hours to do stuff on a daily basis or whatever it is that you realize you just, putzing around doing whatever.
Yeah. Tell you what, man, it's fascinating when you really put your time to good use and actually not
replacing the, like, I think we were talking about before, like you placing like TV time and all that stuff with like actually something productive.
Right. Yeah. It's a big thing. So if you can get your time management down, have like a real goal. See, here's the thing with school, and it always reminds me every time I'm back in it.
Sure.
It forces you to do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you have these little deadlines, it forces, because people say this all the time. There's websites out there that have all the same material that you're learning from these universities, but are you disciplined enough to follow your own curriculum?
Sure.
Right.
You're also probably, I don't think you're not going to come out with a degree because you're not an accredited organization. Sure. But at the same time, that's not to say that you're withheld that information. Sure. The information is there. Out there. Yeah, are you willing to learn it? Right. That's the difference. That's the difference between learning something and just going to school just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
I do understand why people do it and go through it. This was a challenge for myself, for me. I always wanted to get my master's, and in particular my MBA. So it was just something that I knew I was going to do. I just didn't know when, because when I was finished at Temple University 10 years ago, I was not that I was burnt out. I just wanted a break from actual school, and I just wanted to get working already. I just felt like I was like, dude, I'm 22 years old, and like I just want to get a job. You know what I mean? Like a full-time job. Like I was like these little part-time jobs here were awesome, but it was, I wanted to put my knowledge to use. I wanted to like get out there already.
Something legit, whatever.
Yeah. So that took place, and then boom, there you go. It's like, oh, maybe I'll get back into the swing of things in a few years, maybe 5 years. And here we are 10 years later. You know what I mean? You got to catch it before it really slips away. So it's interesting, but at the moment, I've, like I said, it's just 1 weekend. I've learned so much about myself, and obviously new topics that, and it's critical thinking is really what it is. It forces you to think deeper than just a yes or no kind of thing. Like, well, what would you do?
Sure, especially in this giving you scenarios and stuff
right.
Like that.
So they're giving you these scenarios. It's like, well, what would you do? Why? What did he do wrong? And you're like, all right, I got to sit here and really think about this. Hold on, let me think here. And then you kind of get lost in it. And then before you know, you're done the assignment. And then you're almost fascinated. Like, wow, I kind of developed that. Like, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cool.
Like, I figured that out. I don't know. Like I said, that's what I mean about school. Like, it forces you to sit down and think. It forces you to sit down and do it because there's a deadline.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, I have. It's pretty busy, and now we're entering into like the holiday season. So
which is ramping up with all that.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I was squared away. Also, I did like for my certification, I have to have like so many continuing education units. They call them CEUs.
Okay.
To maintain that my RHIA, which is a Registered Health Information Administrator. So to maintain that, you have to have. It's almost like a nurses like to maintain their RN. They have to continually take. I think it's like 30 credits within, or 30 like CEUs within like every 2 years or something like that.
So is that separate from like you just being in school, or is that?
It has nothing. Yeah, it has nothing to do with school.
So they refresh courses, or is it like?
Or no, a lot of it's not refresh. No, it's if anything, it's
updating.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. That's what I meant. Updating your updated courses.
Continuing, education. Yeah. So it's like it kind of like what's changed, what's new, and they're all different topics. And if you're lucky, you can go to like a seminar where like a seminar alone could be like 3 CEUs, which is great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can buy them like online for like for like anywhere between $15 to $25, $30, $40. It's like a course, like a mini course, but it's only 1 CEU. I need 30.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we gotta, or then you just take up your job. Sometimes jobs offer like free CEUs. People jump all over them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we have those at work. They're not CEUs, but we have that where like they have courses for technology, because obviously technology is every day. It's a revolving door.
Yeah.
With that, so we have them at work, and that's why like when I said I didn't know how schooling was, like online, because to me when I take my courses at work, it's like, all right, you read, you have the answers, and it's maybe about 25 minutes of doing it and we're getting your answers, and then if you get it right, then you pass, and all you get is literally like a little certificate. It counts, but it doesn't count like as college credits. But it counts as like some certs and like little things or whatever. But you can put that on your resume that you've done X amount of things or whatever. So it's like when I obviously asked you to explain it on the online coursing. That's what I thought of right away. It's like, online courses are just, you read and then you do this and answer the questions and stuff like that. Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, like,
but it's not 25 minutes. It's that over the course of several months,
right,
a few months. But
his sounds super intense.
Because you're describing something different. You're actually describing the CEUs. What I'm talking about.
Right.
That's
what I'm saying.
Read like this whole like article, and then at the end of it, it asks you like 10 questions.
What I'm thinking online coursing was.
Yeah.
Obviously not.
Yeah. No, not even. I wish.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I may sound dumb right now, but it is what it is, and I don't know.
There's one class where you have to have a camera, and they basically watch you take your test.
Oh man,
that's ways of moderating you.
Yes, that's what they call it, like test moderation. Yeah, so I mean, there is no joke, man.
Because I know one of my friends took like
that's pretty,
and it was
crazy.
Like it was a course with like a lab, whatever stuff too. So it was like, but you had to be like the college is based out of like somewhere down south, whatever. But obviously you can take it anywhere. But you had to be asked like your local school to be attached to their like lab, because I forget what kind of course it was. It was like some kind of chemistry or whatever the heck it was. So you have to be able to have access to a lab to actually do your experiments on stuff too.
Oh, wow.
And you have to get the okay from the university there to be okay to allow the stuff there. And then when you took your test, you had to have a designated person every single time. That same person, you couldn't like switch it up, like have just like a random person do it.
Right.
They had to sign off. It was like it gets convoluted.
What,
when it
so
comes
somebody
to
had to watch you take the test also?
Oh, they at least had to sign off. Certain things like that you had to, but it had to be the same person every single time. So if you had to do a test by like Thursday at 9 o'clock, whatever, that same person had to be available no matter what. To be every time you took a test.
In order for your test to be valid?
In order for it to be validated through your...
my
it was
goodness.
Like, it becomes like ridiculous.
Part-time job.
Especially because you can't really do a lab online, obviously. So it's like, it becomes like a weird amalgamation of like online and in class, like a curriculum. It's like really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, that was like a total side note, but...
No, I mean, that's just... This is the era that we live in now. I mean, this is... There's schools, elementary schools now, you are completely 100% online now. It's just fascinating where we are, but it depends on the school, depends on the course, depends on the class, depends on how many credits you're taking. It's gonna vary on intensity levels, sure. But yeah, man, that's where I am right now. I'm talking a lot about school because obviously that's where my focus is right now. But there's a lot going on with that, so. We can move along to the next person. I don't want to bore people. So any of you guys, obviously we got to get an update from everybody. So who wants to be next?
Speaking of school, I'm in school too.
What are you taking in school?
No, well, my job has it's more of a training type thing for like management or like leadership.
Okay.
So it's called the NJ STEP program, the New Jersey. I forget off the top of my head what it is. Like it's on our binder, but it's like a leadership program, like basically to help you better be a manager, like supervising or even just being a leader in your group, like the team leader or whatever, like that. So I just started last Tuesday I started. So it's an every Tuesday, I take it at Mercer College, community college, and just my first day I was blown away with how much stuff like that you can actually learn on to being a better supervisor or manager or leader. It's just on my first day alone. It was pretty crazy.
So if it's is it like a college course or no? Or it's just being at the college?
It's being at the college.
But it's more like, it's just...
You know what? I'm not sure.
Like customer service type stuff or sort of?
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was credits are involved in it.
It's what they call like professional development programs.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're PDGs or PDPs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically the company. It's really dope because the company basically invests in their people to become basically, like we always say, a better version of themselves. Sure. So then in turn, their return on investment is that these people who they're training can positively impact the company on a smaller scale, but when all these managers or leaders come together, it's like this huge impact, and obviously that cascades down to direct reports and everyone else involved in it. So if they're developing people to become have leadership qualities, just think of basic communication, how they talk to everybody, how they greet people, how they present themselves. So if everyone, kind of walks around and has a level of confidence and greets everybody and treats everybody with respect, that's the culture you're creating, right?
Right.
And so these companies found, because statistics show this, statistics are so lopsided when it comes to this, that I don't understand why a company wouldn't do this.
Sure.
That obviously it increases employee satisfaction and ultimately employee retention rates.
Yeah.
So why would you want to go anywhere else when you're developing and grow? One of the major concerns from the early 90s into or 80s and 90s, I would say, was that they felt that they weren't growing as individuals, that the company itself was growing, but they felt that they were being left behind, and then all they're doing is replacing them with a younger person who's just out of school or something. So they felt like that the company, they're just a slab of meat, and they're just getting ran over by the younger, better version of them. So companies saw that, and to create, employee loyalty, kind of, they said, all right, well, I'm going to invest in you, and hopefully this is a return on investment for us. It's kind of like a win-win.
Yeah. So I mean, ours is like for the whole state of New Jersey. So we have different agencies. Like we have Department of Transportation, Motor Vehicles, Department of Health, OIT, obviously the technology. So it's just like throughout the whole state of New Jersey, and people just come on Tuesdays for this class, and it's an all-day thing. It's from 8:30 to 4.
That's awesome.
So it's a long course, but I mean, like I said,
that takes place like one of your work days.
Oh yeah. It's counted as a work day, but it's they call it training, whatever. But yeah, so I just picked that up. I actually asked my boss at the time to take the class because I figured that in order for me to get better, I need to learn how to, if I ever want to be a manager or a supervisor, I would need to learn how to manage people. Not that I don't, because I have a general idea, but I don't want to be just thrown together and I see managers out there and act a fool. And I'm not saying in my job, but just like seeing out there in general, like people are just like rude, ignorant, or they don't really care for their employers or employees and stuff. And it just, that's one thing that I hate, because I hate being treated that way.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do, is like, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do it the right way and take the classes and understand, learn how to work with people and how to delegate or do things the proper way instead of just throwing around and have a bad rap for myself. Because I mean, God knows it. There's always not every manager, but there's managers out there that got bad raps for the way they handle things. So that's not how I want to do it. So those are my Tuesdays, and pretty much like every other day is just running around with kids, man. My kids, they are nonstop in my house. They're everywhere. Now, our new thing for the month of October is obviously Halloween.
Yeah.
So I think every week we're trying to get a Halloween costume when they figure out what they want, because it's a complete disaster.
Each one has like 20 costumes.
Yeah, plus the stuff that they have from the years on past, and they just run around and want to change into their costumes. So Nova got her costume last weekend, and it's like this girl called JoJo Siwa. It's like a dancer or something like that. She wears big bows. So my wife had to hide the costume because Nova wanted to wear it. And I'm like, Nova, you cannot wear this now, because by the time Halloween comes, it's going to be broken and ripped up. Yeah. She's not understanding. She's like, Daddy, you're mean. I'm like, yes, Daddy is mean. That is right. I'm like, I'm not being mean. I want you to have it for Halloween. Yeah, exactly.
So you're not upset during Christmas.
For Halloween. Yeah. So then, like, soft or T-ball, our pre-T-ball team, I'm assistant coach with Jim. And busy with that, going back and forth with the kids and scheduling some of the games, and going to my other daughter's games, which are very intense. Softball games, yeah, because we have my oldest daughter. She does tournaments, and most of her tournaments are round robins. So it's not just a one game or 2 hour day. It's 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock Saturday or Sunday, or it could be 9 o'clock in the morning to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it all depends on what time they want to start their tournament. So it's almost every other weekend is a tournament with her.
Oh, wow.
And none of them are close by. I mean, there's maybe 2 that are close by. All the other ones are like far out in Jersey. Like I think next week's is in Monroe. That's like going towards Englishtown, New Jersey.
It's like 50 minutes away.
Yeah, okay. A good hour away, if that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's just my upkeeping. Just trying to stay faithful with the podcast, coming in and doing my part. And
yeah, no, that's awesome. I know it's crazy. I think we alluded to this on a previous podcast when we were talking about incorporating your kids' schedules into yours or yours into theirs, and it just becomes like it's just different, is what it is. And again, it still goes back to time management, because a lot of these things start at like, sometimes I always wondered, like when I was in high school, parents like being at like their kid's game. I'm like, dude, our game starts at 3:30. How are you here?
Yeah.
I never understood that. I was always bad. Like my parents worked till 5 every day. Like I didn't understand how like some parents were there. I still don't, because I'm a parent now, and I'm like, yeah, well, 6 o'clock is pushing it for us.
Yeah.
Like literally. to get somewhere.
So, yeah, because if you're getting out at 5, how are you getting there at 6? Like, you're not getting home and changed and all that stuff. Is like,
yeah. So I mean, it was just like
home and changed and everybody else ready and
well,
ready
that
out
was
the door.
it. It was like so. Last was it Thursday or Wednesday? We had a game or practice. Sorry, and then it was last Wednesday. You know, I didn't get done work till 5. Like I couldn't leave. And so like I was like, all right, so I'm done here. I just going straight home, just flying, going home. I got home. It's 5:40, right? And that's fast actually. And so I get changed real quick. Dinner's waiting, and I'm like, let's go. I'll eat. Then Kel's driving, and I'm eating on the way to practice. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be there at a certain time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially being the coach.
Yeah, you got to be on time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other level too.
Yeah.
So then you get there, and then you have to be. You know, it's just it's kind of like one of those things. Like, you're dealing with 2 and 3 year olds. Like, you have to be high energy as they are. You have to match their energy. That's how you get, in my opinion. Oh, well, in my experience, I should say. In my experience, if you can match someone's energy, you can have their attention. But that attention is also only for a limited time, as long as you're matching their energy. So if their energy is shifted in a way, you have to go with that shift. Otherwise, you're going to lose their attention. So we have, you know, like, for example, there's like someone who one of our little players pretends he's like a choo-choo train. So I know this sounds weird, but like everybody's like, you know, some kids are wrestling, some kids are fidgety. He's running in circles being a choo-choo train. So then I'm matching his quote energy by also pretending to be a choo-choo train just to get him in line or just to get him to stay on a base. And he'll do it. But again, it's only for a certain amount of time, because then my energy has to shift to the next kid who's, you know, doing something other than softball or baseball, whatever.
Picking up the bases.
Yeah, picking up the base and slamming it like it's a wrestler or something. Elbow dropping it. Another kid just like wanting to just lean up against a fence. That's really not a fence. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. But anyway, so
everybody's attention's everywhere else.
So so then you do that. But really, it's just being able to manage all that is really what it comes down to. And you have to be on your game. I mean, you don't have to be perfect every day, obviously, but you have to be pretty dang good with it on a daily basis. That's why it's like there's no time really. Like, if you're really doing a good job, there's really no time to quote mess around.
Sure.
Like, yes, you're gonna have your relaxation time. Yes, you're gonna be able to hang out with friends and family and have a good old time. Yes. But you can't do that every day. If you're doing that every day, you're not doing anything. Yeah. Like, you're not you're not getting anything done. You're not being productive. You're not contributing. There's no way. Cuz I've done both. And I know there was nothing getting done. There's not. You're just not getting, you know what I mean? And we all kind of like, I would say, like, you would eventually, every once in a while, like, you kind of fall off the bandwagon. Yeah. You just kind of like do your own thing, or just like, you know, but you have to be disciplined enough to jump back on.
It's crazy. I mean, it's, my house, so we pretty much have like a schedule for the week, but with all the girls and all this stuff, it changes. So it's like today was, Bella was supposed to have softball practice. Well, that got canceled, so now Bella's going to both of her dance classes. So I get home from work. At first, I have to pick up the two little ones. Then I get home, and the dishes are in the sink. So I'm like, all right, well, before I start cooking dinner, let me do the dishes. So I start doing the dishes. Next thing you know, it's 4:15. I have to take the girls to dance because they got to be there. Or I'm sorry, 5:15, because I have to take the girls to dance. They got to be there at 5:30. So 5:30, I got to go drop them off. Get home, dinner's not even started yet. So I got to finish up the dishes, and then on to the next thing, getting dinner started. Turn on the grill, get the chicken cooking, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's all crazy. And then my wife gets home, and she's like, we're sitting at the dinner table, we're talking about our day, going on back and forth, and Danica is throwing cheese at me. It's the greatest thing ever. Not really. But she thinks she's funny. She goes, ha ha, throws cheese at you, and ha ha, like, really? That's what you do? So then Jess sits there and she's like, oh man, I gotta go get seashells for Lainey's project. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, Lainey's got this project that's due tomorrow, and we didn't have a chance over the weekend to go get it. So we had to get, so she's like, all right, well, Lainey has to get picked up at 7:30. And I was like, yeah, and I got the podcast at 8 o'clock. So, yeah, you want to leave now at 7 o'clock to go get these seashells and stuff that she needs? So she's like, yeah. She's like, I'll go by myself. I'm like, all right, so I'll stay here with the girls and wait. She's like, yeah, I'll be back. I'm like, all right, this is going to be interesting. Because when she goes out, like shopping, and it depends on what the mood is. Like if she knows she has to get a specific thing and have something else to do, she's pretty on point with it. Okay. So she will get it done. So she literally went to the store, went in, went out, and was back at home at 7:40.
Oh, wow, okay.
7:45-ish. That was all like 45 minutes. And she had to go pick up Lainey from dance all in between because Lainey was done dance at 7:30. And she was home. And then in the meantime, I'm home with Danica. I'm like, you know what? Let me help out and take Danny a bath and get that situation. So there's one kid down, so she doesn't have to worry about it, and then take it from there. So it's like, so every day we kind of have a general idea, but it's a roller coaster. It just changes at any moment. So I mean, my day sounds like it's pretty hectic, and I guess I don't know. We figure it out every day on the run, on the wheel. So yeah, it's fun. I mean, tomorrow's supposed to be a simple day. We'll see about that.
Something always comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think
so. I guess it's all, again, like you said, it's all time managing and try to figure it out. I'm here at the podcast, obviously, because we figured out, that she can do whatever, and still at 8:30 she had to pick up Bella from dance. So yeah, so our days end fairly late when it's when there's dance and softball combined.
Is that all year round?
What's that, dance?
Yeah.
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 I
feel like there's always dance.
There's always dance. I mean, in the summertime there's a break, but the girls want to take, and it's not as intense. Like it's just to keep them active. Like it's a month type of thing. But from September to May, they're dancing for their recitals and for competition.
It's always leading to a recital of some sort.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so dance is all year long. And now that Bella's on the softball team, the one team that she's on is an all year long type thing. Not the games, but they're
at least
doing warm ups and practicing and just staying like active while the cold season's around. So yeah, so that's another thing that keeps on going on in my house. So between softball and dance. So I'm glad nobody wants to do anything different. Because I don't know.
Nobody wants to do anything extra.
Anything extra. So we'll see. Once Nova starts talking and saying she wants to do gymnastics, and guess we'll get there when we get there.
Like an instrument.
Just somebody else stop doing something.
Yeah. Now, if someone wants to ride a dirt bike, I'll definitely make time for that.
There you go.
Because I'm ready for that.
It's hilarious.
Good. Gabe, go ahead. Tell us what you've been up to.
No, because for me, like at work, kind of like my work dynamic is gonna start changing very soon. But I know, like for us, like they're changing like somewhat like the structure of how we our work, whatever now, because we always had like
your job,
because of they're outsourcing the phone groups, like all the departments, like all the outpatient departments.
Okay.
So a lot of our people, to some respect, were let go, or they had to be relocated and all that stuff too. And so a lot of stuff is being diverted elsewhere, or like we're being like restructured in terms of like our duties and stuff like that too. So
they're giving you the extra duties?
Sort of. Like there's a few of us that are left there that weren't like, that were phone people, that whatever. I mean, I wasn't always phone. I was always backup for everything else. So like, and plus it was based on seniority, and there was a whole other weird thing with that too. But that's actually changing this week. So it's like we're gonna, as of like Thursday, we're gonna figure out what the heck is actually going on in terms of the workload and all that stuff too. Like some of my stuff's not changing because stuff I've always been doing, I still have to do. But it's like I'm being I still have to help with the front desk and stuff like that too. And it's like other stuff like might be more secretarial in terms of certain other aspects of it too. So, so it's becoming like changing, shifting, whatever. Because there's only, and we had quote unquote like 5 secretaries. Now it's down to like 2.
Yeah.
Outside of myself. So it was like,
wow.
You're a secretary?
Well, no, I always helped out with like the phone duties and like some not secretarial work, but it was like some parts of that. Like I always did scanning stuff for them too, and some pay works and some parts of that too. But it might be putting more of that on me because we're not gonna have the phone, like the call-in phones like we always used to for years now. So it's like a lot that's changing. So that's
that's what like getting. So now we're calls now.
Well, yeah, because we have everybody calls in for like medical calls, like I'm sick, whatever. I need medications, I need referrals, blah, blah, blah. All that's being diverted to some outsourced company.
I got you. Okay.
So like we're gonna have still like I'm sure we always have a fax machine. We have to still deal with some of the paperwork that people drop off, but it's like we're not sure exactly how that's gonna work on the back end, especially since nobody's really saying anything beyond what it is now. So
you're saying in between the transition period, you're going to be handling this stuff?
Well, no, we're being transitioned into we don't know exactly what it's going to mean to. So I mean, I would like since I was always outside of that technically, like I'm making more stuff adding on to that, if that makes any sense. So like so I'm more helping out since like we went from, like I said, from 5 to 2. So like that's going to be split among them along with me. So if that
but I thought you were getting the phones outsourced.
I mean, the actual incoming calls, but there's still other paperwork that constantly we always have tons of faxes on a daily basis that have to be dealt with and sorted, and along with all the paperwork that the doctors deal with, the patients that
is
come in.
Is it patients' faxes or is it the doctor's faxes? Like it's a mixture?
It's paperwork also because and actually back in July we merged because we were two halves of two departments anyway. One was like a resident clinic. One was our mainly like a regular primary care.
Gotcha.
Which is only the main attending doctors. Now we're with the teaching doctors along too. So now it's like two clinics together.
Oh,
now now we're merging and losing people at the same time too. So it's a weird.
Definitely transition.
Yeah.
So it's a transition. We're still in the midst of learning how the other department works. Since as long as I've been there, I've always been in just the main outside of the residence, whatever. So it's like now it's like trying to learn exactly how to do their stuff along with people who were in that and learned that really well. They're one of the most people who were let go. So it was like the people who were bastards at it are now gone. So it was like now we got to figure out other stuff too along the same line. So it was like it's a whole weird mess that goes along with that. So it's definitely a learning experience with that. But so that's the biggest, like, most recent change, I guess. But other than like for me personally, like outside of all that, outside of the negative drama, but like me, like I think I talked to you before. It was like trying to like something I've always wanted to do for a long time. Like that, like growing up, I never really spoke Spanish like that. But I've been trying to like I've been doing like the online little course thingy and like it intertwined with like an app and whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I was like I'm trying to like I've been doing that since I think I went away in vacation in May. So I was like I've been essentially doing it on a daily basis. Like just trying to go through and keep it up with it, whatever. I mean, conversationally, I haven't really done that part of it, even though. Like the app and stuff that has you like speak into it, so that has the little bits of that. But
that's awesome.
So I'm trying to like.
You should try Plaza Sésamo.
Yeah, I remember watching that in the morning, like before school.
Wow,
I haven't seen that in forever.
Plaza Sésamo, and it was like similar characters at Sesame Street.
That was such a knockoff. It was unreal.
Yeah,
Big Bird was like green, wasn't he?
He wasn't yellow.
No, it was
definitely wasn't yellow.
But yeah, it was. I mean, but it was the same company. It was just.
It just did a different, which is weird.
The Latin version of it, whatever.
Yeah. Dude, that's great. Plaza Sésamo, and they had like fake looking Elmo and
But there were crossover, like I mean not crossover, but there were
some like
characters that were.
I believe like Rosita was part of them, and I think now that she's in the actual Sesame Street. Like there might be like a few of them that, like you said, they merged from one and went to the other.
Wait,
I think aren't they having
what season are they in?
I don't know.
But let's get
that's a whole.
Yeah, that's all right. So now back to Gabe learning Spanglish.
But yeah, I mean, I've been trying to do that. I mean, yeah, so I have like at least doing it every day. At least have it better because it's kind of going back to like when I took it in high school and stuff like that too, which is kind of interesting because it's like gives you like the verbs and like the conjugations and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's. Very much a throwback to like a lot of that stuff, but it's like it's since I've been doing it consistently for months now. Like at least I have a better understanding, and I can understand. Like if somebody said something, I have a better understanding of what is being said as opposed to form. Like I don't know what the hell is even going on.
The dialect is pretty.
Sure, I mean it's
different too.
Sure, I mean and that's what the problem with like that type of thing is. It's I think we've talked about before. It teaches you more like. The Spanish,
the proper,
because there's some words I even asked my mom. She's like, it's like it's a different word altogether.
It was like the first time I heard cuaderno. What is that? And it's a book. Cuaderno is your book.
Oh,
that's what I learned in Spanish class. Yeah, and I'd never. To me, I thought libro, cuaderno is the book.
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, so it's even then like it depends on where the root of where that lesson's coming from, whatever. But a lot of it is like the Spanish. But a lot of it does carry over. But it's like random words that like just never. My mom even never heard of. Like obviously, like
my dad said the same thing though. Like we would come back and would ask my dad, and he'd be like, "I've never heard that before." Yeah. But it's
like we say, we have this is the word you say, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's
so I'm trying to, and it was like for a little bit, it was like actually me and my sister does a little less, but like she's been more consistent with it too, just because like my cousin, when I first heard of it, the online like app thing, whatever, it was my cousin in Florida because her kids are like in school. They had they're teaching them like for like preschool or something. They actually have like a
Spanish class,
sort of like they're kind of dual language. They kind of teach them like a bunch of stuff. So she said she's trying to keep up with herself, just because the same thing. Like all of us cousins never really spoke Spanish, so and she told me, and then I started doing it like down there, and then like not realizing my sister was kind of did the same thing too.
Okay.
And then like for a while, a bunch of my cousins were doing it, but a lot of them fell off. But like I've been trying to keep up with it just because for my own personal thing.
That's interesting because like. My kids in their school, they're actually learning. They have Spanish as one of their classes, and we didn't get Spanish till I went into the 9th grade in high school.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's something that they're actually teaching them now. Like you have to learn this.
Yeah,
and this is what it is. Like there's no choice or no options about it.
And
it's pretty interesting.
And no matter what, being bilingual in general is always a plus, and like especially now I'm going to jobs and all that stuff too. It's like it.
Lainey, she's into sign language.
Okay.
Like it's real interesting that when she comes home and she starts doing, giving us the signs and stuff like that. I'm like, so what was that? And she'll tell us, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that's different. Like you would never think that that's what grandfather means and stuff like that. Or like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty funny. Like she's really into. I don't know why and how, but like she picked it up since preschool.
Oh wow, yeah, that's an interesting thing to like randomly
since
pick
then
up.
She's always kept up with it. I don't know. It's funny.
My high school had like we had an annex for for hard of hearing people and stuff.
Okay.
So you could actually take classes for stuff like that, like have and be involved with people who constantly signed and all that stuff too.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
That is very interesting. Sign language is very interesting. That's awesome. All right, so cool. So
that's
got a
our
few
update.
Updates on the crew here. We started off with James, myself, Heck, Gabe. Just wanted to keep you guys in a loop, being that this was a solid number, right? It was episode 80, so I want to come back and just tie everything together, tell you guys where we are. So thank you guys for going I guess out of your normal comfort zone and get into your personal life. That's awesome. All right, so as usual, we wrap the episode up with 2 quotes, and the first one is by Ronald E. Osborne. He says, "Unless you try to do something beyond what you have already mastered, you will never grow." Which is kind of cool because we were just talking about school and you learning a new learning the language of Spanish.
Language I should have known.
Yeah. And the second one is by Elbert Hubbard. "A friend is someone who knows all about you and still loves you." So there you have it, folks. Updates from the crew. In this episode, the crew gives the world the most current updates occurring in their lives, going back to school, dad life, etc. This episode gives an inside look into the lives of the voices behind the mics at the Rotated Views podcast. We wrap the episode up with quotes by Elbert Hubbard and Ronald Osborne. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyLeeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyLeeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.